God, it looks terrifying on the camera. Hello again. I know in the last few I've mentioned wanting to try to get weird again with these, like I did with the one in the dark. And the last ones have just been more just accepting and allowing myself just to make portraits, which I love. I think all these ones are great. And they're all kind of doing something. I do have plans on doing the 3D one like I mentioned in the other video. And I am continuing to do the breathing, and I will have another go at mirror gazing as separate things. And maybe they will contribute to these, but we might do another mirror gazing painting thing. That was quite fun. That's the noise of pencils. So this one, I don't know how this one's going to end up. I feel like, you know, the Spider-Man meme where everyone's pointing at each other. The three Spider-Men are pointing at each other. So I have 2 mirrors, and to make it weird, because with the way the light's set up, this one on the right, I can actually see myself pretty good. The one on the left, not so much. So I'm thinking, what about if I look at Right Boy and I make marks of Right Boy, and the moment that I am no longer looking at the mirror, I look at Left Boy and I make marks until I'm not looking at the mirror, and then look at the Right Boy. Does that make sense? I'm just trying to think of a way of doing this so that it's one portrait and not 2 stuck on top of each other. I'm trying to make it hard for myself, but in a certain way, because I could make this hard and try for it to be aesthetically pleasing still, or I could just allow it to get weirder, which I think might be the case. I think I might try that. And my stance is different. Obviously, I'm square to this one. Maybe if I like get in the middle of them both. Could also do with this mirror being a little higher. Try and make it so you can see 1 second. So if you can't tell, I have tried to film most of these where you can see the paper and the reflection, but it's a little hard. So of the 2, I think the priority is being able to see this. Am I in a position that's probably going to hurt? Maybe, holding my hand here. See, I'm learning. I only make it uncomfortable if I want it to be. I think we'll be okay. Let me adjust you a little bit more. Right. I think the interesting thing about these type of setups is that, like with most of my paintings, especially with all my dream paintings, my portraits of Harrison, and even these ones where I'm posed, I can see how the painting's going to look before I've painted it. I've already got the idea in my head of the composition, everything. But these things, it just breaks you a little bit. And you kind of just have to accept that it is where it is. So, this is very weird, just looking backwards and forwards. Right, so I'm going to square up my face on both of them. Start with the right. As soon as I stop looking at the mirror, I'll move to the left. But I'm going to look at my page from the right. So I'm going to look, and as soon as I look at my page, or away from the mirror, I'm going to move to the one when I want to look at the mirror again. I'm going to break my rules, I think. It's going to turn into a bit of a line drawing. So I'm going to allow myself to look at my face and the paper a few times. I can't, I'll just allow myself to prop this up to show you. I'll hold it. So I had another strange time with that. Looking at you, looking at myself from those two different angles with such different lighting, it was basically like I was painting myself on top of each other. You know, the shadows were on one side of my face and the other at the same time. But I wonder if it works like, you know, when you take photographs, or when they take photographs of houses, you know, like exposure bracketing, both sides of my face were like evenly lit at the same time, like a HDR image. But there were some misalignments as well. These mirrors are slightly different when I'm looking at them for so long. This one's on the right is such a squarer mirror. This one on the left makes me look rounder faced. And this one on the right's got a much nicer light. Yellower. This one on the left is really blue and milky. I don't want milky mirrors, do we? So there was a point in this when I got the feeling of how can I make this look like a thing? You know? Again. And then you just go, that's not the point. If I look like a whatever, that's fine. And then I forgot about it. And then the next thing I know, it was starting to look like a thing. And now it looks like a thing. So I was constantly going back to the nose for the shadow, because the shadow on this, on the left hand side of my nose, was so strong, or the darkest part anyway. And it was this bit here on the eye. So I was using those as like work everything else from there. But the eyes were in different positions, like I say there. And if you noticed, I was using more greens and yellow, and just greens on this side. On this side, I went from yellow to orange to brown. To red to orange to brown. So another lesson in letting go, which I think is the same lesson I got from the blue thing. And then sharing it on the internet is also quite a liberating thing, because you wouldn't show your people your worst work, would you? The pencils were interesting, because I haven't been used to having precision, just the pastels. And something that I ended up doing on Harrison's with paint and the pastels was taking bits off, and this wasn't intentional, but I've ended up drawing into the pastel. I'll try and show you close up. God, it looks terrifying on the camera. Nevertheless, I ended up enjoying that again after I got over my fear of it being rubbish.